It was 3:02 a.m. last Wednesday morning, and I was jolted awake by a question that just kept refusing to let go. What do I want out of my life? And at 37 years old, I'm there sitting here in utter confusion, trying to relive my entire past, trying to dissect where it all went wrong, what I got right, and what I should actually learn so that I can best move forward. Now, doubt is one of those sneaky emotions that can chain us down, where it whispers to us that we're not ready, we're not good enough, we're not worthy, and it paralyzes us, leaving us stuck in this loop of inaction, spiraling into deeper pits of doubt, aversion, and lack of confidence. It's like the Achilles heel just cutting us down. Yes, I have learned that doubt is also a compass trying to or helping us point forward where if we're brave enough to face it. So after lying in bed with my mind racing, I walked downstairs, I opened my journal, and I distilled all my thoughts into 16 essentials. And this is what I want to share with you right now, straight out of my journal, as I had the epiphany throughout this entire process that answering one profound question can unravel 1,000 tangled ones. It's the simplicity of the clarity that is able to cut through the chaos. So last Wednesday morning, I was tearing through my bookshelf. I was frantically searching through my Google documents. I was hunting down those passages that always spark something inside of me. I went through my entire Apple iNotes, which have a treasure trove under this one folder called My Thoughts On, and where I'd stashed all my learnings for years. Now, these aren't just notes, they're actually my personal guideposts. They're what I call my dials, in which I can adjust these dials, ramping them up or ramping them down, depending on how I'm feeling or what I'm actually feeling like I need to solve in this chapter of my life right now, so that I can, in hopes, be able to tweak to be able to find balance. Because right now, the dials marked personal growth and mission is cranked up. And I'm just 6 months into growing my new company, the Rainmakers. And this startup phase, it's demanding energy and focus. It's growing really quickly. It's already grown into something far beyond I thought it was going to be when I first envisioned the birth of this. But in my pursuit of success, I've neglected the dials labeled balance and harmony, particularly the delicate dance of what some people like to call work-life balance. I wasn't having that whatsoever. And which is why last Wednesday at 3:02 a.m. I was having that crisis, that one that led me to just like hammering away at my keyboard, trying to figure all this stuff out, because it quite literally was a wake-up call. Once again, that universe was tapping me on my shoulder, banging me over my head, where I had to try and find out or learn that achieving and succeeding meant nothing if they're at the expense of harmony and well-being. Which is why I've found that where these distractions are abundant and expectations are going to be relentless, understanding what I genuinely want is not just some intellectual exercise. It really is the bedrock for living a life that actually has that purpose and fulfillment that we're ultimately wanting. Because in today's society, which often equates success with all of these external achievements, it's when I'm at my best that when I remind myself that true fulfillment is actually from within. It comes from understanding and embracing what genuinely matters. And I am ashamed to admit that I already knew this before last Wednesday's wake-up call, but that's the difference. That's where I wasn't embodying it. So I know that I must be and do something different, knowing that the right thing to do is actually having that strength of character to follow what is my definition of foolishness. Because I've been foolish. The dials of my life are in my control. It's up to me to be able to fine-tune them, to create that harmony that resonates with what I actually want to be able to be and do and have in this life. Because as I was going through all of my notes last Wednesday, I realized that the insights I've collected over the years aren't just for me. They're the lessons that can resonate with anyone that is really trying to seek a life of meaning and purpose. So instead of complicating things, I wanted to share these more as a raw, unfiltered reflections straight out of my journal, in my hopes to wanting to give you guidance that's profoundly helped me. Because in my life as an entrepreneur and as a husband and as a father, I've learned that meaning isn't just something that's going to be handed to you. It's something that you create for yourself. Because when I started each one of my businesses, I chased success because It was going to make me feel good. The money, the recognition, the growth. That's what we're supposed to be doing, right? But I quickly realized that true fulfillment comes from aligning my work, but with my core values and passions. It's not about just ticking those boxes of societal checklists, but really it's about uncovering what resonates, what's deeply within my inner self. So for me, the means of building something that thrives financially and positively impacts my team, my customers, and my community. See, when I sold my last company, I scribbled down a bunch of rules that I wanted my next ventures to be able to live by. And I was determined not to repeat those same stupid mistakes I'd made before. Because there's what I could call my personal mission. Because every morning, I want to be able to kick my legs out of bed with a sense of mission, not just to build a company, but more importantly, to create a life that matters. And that's where this personal mission goes beyond work and really is how I'm showing up with all the other aspects of my life, especially as a father and a husband and as a friend. Because knowing why you wake up every morning, that is what transforms your life. Infusing it with energy and purpose and integrity. Because when I focus on my family's happiness and their own growth, I find that everything else starts to fall in place. Purpose isn't just some grand vision that you have, but it's in the intention of every small action that you make in a day. Because as I literally quite say this right now, I find myself in this contradiction where it's talking about personal mission, yet I just said that my focus is actually built on my family. It's always been easier for me to prioritize others whilst focusing on myself. And so that's where being truly useful, as even when I say this right now, I know that I'm in a contradiction because I'm talking about personal mission. And yet when I focus on my family, I know that I'm better able, or I'm easier, or I'm more wanting to actually then focus or prioritize others over my own well-being. And that's where I feel like I was, for much of my life, too utilitarian, too trying to do others and trying to do the right thing to kind of fit into this box. And I was always neglecting myself. I was never thinking about my own happiness. Because in business, this means building relationships that goes beyond transactions. Arthur C. Brooks distinguishes between real friends and deal friends. And I constantly want to be able to nurture the former because I strive to be able to offer kindness and to be able to have compassion, to be able to have a sense of belonging to my team, to my clients, to my community. And because as a father and husband, I've learned that the love that I give to my family, it returns tenfold back. Love is that currency that's never going to lose its value. I know that sounds totally cliche or a little bit woo, but that's honestly how I feel now. Because then there's the belonging. Because us humans, we're social creatures. We find ourselves in a tribe. And as an entrepreneur, I've learned that success is a team sport. Surrounding myself and the people who share the visions and the values is key to my own growth, but also for us to be able to succeed together. And so where I'm a part of something larger than myself, that's where the collective is able to then support and uplift each other. It's kind of the saying that a rising tide lifts all ships. That's the way I want to be able to build the culture, especially within my business and especially kind of in the spirit of our family. Because you can't outperform your support network and you can't outperform your environment. And I believe in the power of a solid, supportive network, not just any network, but a handful of great people that are sharp as tacks, committed to be able to help each other rise by being able to create a space where you're not just surviving, but you're actually thriving as your own self. And this is why after chatting with one of my hell of a smart marketing friends and having an insight not that long ago, where I just said, fuck it, let's cultivate our own world-class crew. And I wanted to create a private mastermind and have brought together a bunch of multi-7 and 8-figure entrepreneurs where we're able to help each other, share each other's secrets, and to be able to create something that was not there at all when it came to support, insights, information, and knowledge. Because there's plenty of people that say know thyself, but what does that actually look like in real life? How do I best practice and embody this? Because again, as an entrepreneur, as a father, as a husband, understanding my strengths, my weaknesses, my desires, my fears is foundational to personal growth. And I've had to confront these uncomfortable truths time and time again to be able to better embrace them, to be able to be the leader and the partner that I wanted to show up as. because self-awareness is really that compass point that guides those decisions, that guides those interactions, ensuring that you're aligned with your values. And that practice in what I'm talking about, having that introspection, is something that is needed to be done more frequently than I am doing now. And I say I want to be able to do it on a daily basis, but I should be doing this on a moment-to-moment basis, because that's when continuous learning comes in. Because growth is not just about this one-stop shop, this one milestone that you hit. Because with continuous learning, growth doesn't stop once you reach a milestone. I will stop learning only the day that I die, not a second before that. Because as I embrace a mindset of continuous learning, whether it's going to be from formal education, life experiences, into contemplation, this is when we're going to be able to open ourselves up to being curious, to be open to new ideas, even being open to when new challenges are going to challenge the very beliefs that I have core to myself. Because then there's the aspect of giving back. As I've grown my career, I've realized that true success is really measured by the impact I have on others. And all of these books that are on my bookshelf, they're all about the importance of service to others. Being able to contribute to the well-being of others not only helps them enrich their own life, but it's to the polyword mudita, which is the joy I get when I see somebody else enjoy. Because right now, I get those good feels from mentoring younger men and being able to donate to causes that I believe in. Giving back is that reminder that we, again, rise by lifting others up, where the world is going to be richer when we're able to share our gifts in all the different ways that we have our gifts to share with. And that's where I feel like legacy, and with legacy, I am torn with this one right now. So there's a good chance I'll have another episode coming up redoing this one, but stick with me. Because on one hand, legacy seems like it's a bit about caring about what others think after you're actually gone. And on one hand, it could be like legacy could be looked through a lens in which I refine my thoughts and my actions to have a greater impact on others. So where legacy isn't just about tangible achievements, it's about the intangible impact on others and the world. And so as a father, I focus on the lessons and values that I pass on to my children. As a husband, I work on towards nurturing a relationship with my wife that I can look back on and I can take my last breath and know that I've loved with an open heart. In business, I aim to create something lasting, not necessarily a company that's going to be like enduring decades and decades of time, but essentially really wanting to be able to stand for more than just profit. And I wanted to be remembered not only for what we're able to accomplish together, but the way we're able to make people feel through the positive change we'll be able to give them as well. And that's where I feel like my legacy then reflects the values in which I live by every day. And so the next insight was the mind, body, spirit balance. It could just be because I'm in Canggu, Bali for too long. But anyway, a healthy life requires nurturing all aspects of your being. So in pursuit of success, I've learned that neglecting my physical health, my mental well-being, or my spiritual nourishment is not going to equal a happy Chris at the end of the day, which is why now I want to prioritize exercise, meditation, time for reflection, having good times with my friends, having that harmony in mind, body, and spirit is the foundation of well-being. It's when you have these different plates spinning, and if you just let one drop and it breaks, that's when shit's going to hit the fan. Because that's when you're not going to have work-life harmony. Because they talk about work-life balance, and I don't feel like there's balance that you want there. There's a harmony happening, more of like a musical way to think about it. Because I know that I'm aiming for big things that most people aren't thinking that they can achieve. And I want to be able to achieve these bigger things I believe that I can do. But the notion that I should just roll over and accept that some parts of my life have to suffer because I want to achieve those things, I think that's uninspiring and downright depressing. I look at people who have hit the jackpot financially, but if they're out of shape, in poor health, disconnected from their families, I think that's a cautionary tale. Because on the flip side, if you want to achieve something truly world-class, like winning a gold medal at the Olympics, you've got to go all in. And sometimes that is at the expense of other areas in your life. But that doesn't mean that I'm looking for a perfect 50-50 split for everything. I don't think life is that neat. but it's about aligning for me, it's about aligning my actions with my values and being fully present with my family, even when business might be tugging me from all sides. Because the truth is, as I'm saying this, I haven't nailed this balance. I haven't nailed this harmony. I know that I need to do better, but I've realized that being a successful entrepreneur, father, husband, isn't about finding some mythical equilibrium. It's about setting boundaries. It's about knowing when to say no. And it's about constantly recalibrating my priorities, because that harmony is not a final destination. It's about an ongoing practice, that daily commitment to how you actually show up, and me having to say to myself, get better at this, Chris. And that's when, by doing that, the other insight was needing gratitude, because cultivating gratitude isn't about shifting your perspective. It's about transforming your entire experience of life. When you focus on what you have rather than what's missing, that's when you're not just going to be settling. That's when you're unlocking something that's a deeper sense of contentment and joy. Contentment isn't about ticking off every item on some endless wish list. It's about realizing what you already have is enough to make your rich life a rich life, and what to have your life now already meaningful. Because gratitude isn't about that checkbox, because I used to do this. Everyone would say, you've got to have a gratitude list. And I'd go through every morning and I'd write a gratitude list. And it was literally me just checking that box off like I wrote a gratitude list for the day. I was not feeling it. I was not embodying it. I was not being it in any way. And it was a complete and utter waste of time of actually doing that practice. Because for me, the more I appreciate what's in front of myself, the less I feel the pull for what's out there to reach and to be able to try and desire. Because the acceptance of life's impermanence, another deep insight, is that I remember when Joseph Goldstein said, whatever has the nature to arise will also pass away. Life is transient, and embracing this fact brings me peace, because change is inevitable. And what I've learned to find in peace is that the present moment is going to be the present moment. And the only constant is change. And by embracing it, I'm able to free myself of that burden that is going to be trying to have me control the uncontrollable. Because when I'm the mountain, shakeable and resilient, I become the man that can weather the storms, and I can do it with joy. And I'm able to then show up and be my better self, because this is when I have to continuously remind myself that I need to be true to myself. Every time I try to imitate someone else or chase after things that aren't aligned with my true self, I screw up life a little bit more, because authentically showing up, living authentically, means living in alignment with what's in your true values and belief, not bending to some other external expectations. Because in a world that's going to try and pressure us to conform, I know that I'm at my best when I have the courage to be my true self. Whether it's going to be in business or my personal life, authenticity means making choices that reflect who I truly am, not what others expect me to be. It's about embracing my quirks, my passions, my unique voice, knowing that I'm going to screw up in certain ways, and wanting to be able to then be in integrity. Because integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's watching. That's not my writing, that was C.S. Lewis. And integrity involves me making choices that reflect your principles, holding myself accountable to higher ethical standards. Acting with integrity means making decisions that align with my principles, even when life is challenging. Because as an entrepreneur, as a father, as a husband, integrity isn't just something I talk about. It's something that I have to be and have to show up with every single day. Because when I don't, life is going to crumble very quickly around me. Integrity is then going to build trust in how other people are going to see myself. But importantly, and more importantly, integrity is how I'm going to feel about myself. Integrity is how I'm going to build my own self-esteem. Because if I say that I'm wanting to do something, if I say that I'm going to go to the gym and do a workout today, and I do not, and I act out of integrity, then I am just casting a vote that I am a person that does not show up, that does not act with integrity. And I'm going to then start seeing myself as somebody that is not going to do the things that I say. And if I cannot trust myself, who can I trust? Because it's about staying true to yourself even when no one's watching, even when it costs you something in the short term. It's that quiet assurance that at the end of the day, you did the right thing. You acted by your values. And that's the reward in itself. Integrity means that you're holding yourself accountable. It's not about being honest just with others, but honest with yourself, owning up to your mistakes, learning from them, striving to do better, being able to model that kind of behavior that you want to see in your children, in your team, and in those that you actually look up to. It's about leading by example, not by words alone, because in the end, integrity is going to define your and my character. Now, this next dial was definitely one of the hardest ones for me to be able to actually take on, and that is the pursuit of joy, because life isn't about serious pursuits. Finding joy in the small things and making room for the fun and playfulness amidst the demands of entrepreneurship and family life are the things that are important. The small things are the big things. And I know that I'm saying this, I really want to nail this message home and share this, is I know that I'm not fully embodying and being this lesson, this dial, and this is something I'm truly working on a day-by-day basis as well. But at the end of the day, I have to ask myself, why the fuck am I working so hard anyway, Chris? And that's when, if I'm not having fun and I'm not having joy, not that it's supposed to be fun and joyful the entire time. No, there has to be the ups, there has to be the downs. We would not know the good if there was not the bad, but I still have to know that I'm enjoying that process, and it's something I'm working on myself on. Because for me, when I'm able to then next embrace simplicity, because sometimes the pleasures in life, the simple pleasures in life, are what bring the most joy. Because yesterday I was actually sitting around a fire with 3 friends, and we were just talking crap about the highs and lows of life and what was profoundly nourishing to each of us. And when we strive for simplicity and appreciate the beauty in these everyday moments, in these little things, that's when you get lit up. That's when you actually have those memories that make your life worthwhile, that you feel good about what it is that your life actually really is. Because as I wrap this up and I really think about to be me waking up at 3:02 a.m. last Wednesday, I realized that the essence of a meaningful life, it's not hidden in some distant future, but it's actually crafted in the choices that we make day by day. Each lesson, each moment, having that introspection in each of those parts has taught me that life is about consciously aligning with who I am and who I want to strive to be, and that being able to come together. It's about building a life that feels authentic and more purposeful, whether it's in the boardroom, the living room, or just in those quiet moments of solitude. Because to be truly alive, I know that I must embrace that chaos and clarity, the doubts and the dreams, the success and the setbacks. Because waiting for it to all be perfect, for that perfect moment to arrive, I just do not think is the right thing to be doing. And that's why I want you to listen to what truly matters in your heart, to have the courage to pursue it relentlessly. And I don't want you to wait for life to happen to you. Make it happen for you. Be a little bit better, be a little kinder, a little bit more aligned with the person that you want to be. Embrace the uncertainties, cherish the simplicities, and stand up as your own unshakable mountain, because the world needs the best version of you, and so do you.